My friends and I decided to visit the infamous slavery installations in Badagry, Nigeria. What we learned shocked us to the core. Time to learn more about the transatlantic slave trade. But before that, let's meet the cast for today. First off, we vlog.
Every market, 300 slaves were being sent out of the market. They will now move them to two pools called Ark of the Faction, where they will pass under, they will wash them before they will sail them down to Europe or America. Now, who is a slave? A slave is someone's property or someone under bondage. Slaves have no name. Slaves bear their master's name, and slaves don't go to school. Now, the first slave trade began by the Arabs. Now, all slaves taken from this compound were taken from different parts of the world. But the slaves taken from this compound were Yoruba already taken to Brazil. That's why we call the compound Brazilian Baracoon. A bottle of whiskey go for 10 human beings as a slave. We have the empty bottle, 1878 from Vienna, also inside the museum. A ceramic bowl go for 10 human beings as a gun, go for 40 human beings as a slave. In there, we are still coming here. It's called dark room. This is where they kept 40 of them. We are still going there. But here, it's called inspection room, because their aims and objectives, they were going to work where they take them to. So they want a very healthy slave. Two slaves together. They put the first one at the ankle on the first slave, the second. They put their padlock here to join two of them together. And this thing was made of metal. It will always put wounds together around their ankles. Who cares? Because they were slaves, they still put it on their wounded legs. They were slaves. They will tie it around the waist. They lock it at the back. So because it's heavy, so after some time, it will calm. So how could they put 40 human beings inside this choke room without all this thing? And slaves that refuse accepting the master's religion or name must die on the stake. So I don't know why we are still paying them now.
If you are enjoying the video so far and you would like to watch more videos like this, then you should definitely subscribe and check out my slavery playlist.
Badagry in the year 1888, with the help of the man buried there called Chief Mobee. The man died October 16, 1893. Through his own help, slavery was finally abolished here in Badagry. The father of the man buried there was a middleman between the white and the black. He be fixed on the neck of a single slave like this for good 18 hours while the slaves are busy working on plantation farm. This will be around their neck. It will padlock like this and like that. For slaves not to eat any farm product while they are busy working on plantation farm, and for them not to communicate within themselves. This is called the light chain for the babies. They use this to tie the babies.
Please say it again.
This is called the light chain for the babies. They use this to tie the hand of two babies together and separate the babies from their parents. For the babies not to disturb their parents while their parents are busy working on plantation farm. This is a torture weapon for the stubborn slaves. Then we force their hand into this, break the bone up to the wrist. This is called the ankle lock. Then bend this on the ankle of two slaves like this. On the ankle of two slaves like this. And then we lock you together with padlock. For slave not to run away. A bottle of alcohol was 10 slaves. A bottle of gin and Badagry was 10 slaves. And we have the shorter size of the cannon gun. This is called a cannon gun. This was used in exchange of 40 slaves. We have the longer size in exchange of 100 slaves. Over there is the slave drinking water bowl. About 40 to 50 slaves are meant to drink water from this. At the same time, Why their two hands have been tied together at the back.
Here we have Pojo showing off our amazing tote bags. Link in the description. But that being said, our third location for the day is the Storey Building in Nigeria, allegedly. It was built over 3 years in the 1840s by some of the first missionaries in Nigeria, or in what would become Nigeria. And we got to learn more about one of the most influential figures in Nigerian history, Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther, who was almost a slave. He was captured in a war and on his way to being shipped to the New World was intercepted by the British and then resettled in Sierra Leone, trained overseas, and then ended up being one of the first to come back to the country, or what would become the country, with the religion. We got to see the first Western safe in Nigeria, where the locals, not necessarily the locals, but where the missionaries used to keep things for safekeeping, I guess. When I got there, I realized that the building was made of wood, and then I thought about it for a couple minutes or a couple seconds, and then of course it's made of wood. What else would it be made of? Christianity was first proclaimed in Nigeria on September 24th, 1842 by some of the missionaries that helped build this building under an agia tree. Unfortunately, the tree fell in 1959 and Nigeria has just been anyhow since then. But on a more serious note, this building cost £325 to build, and a lot of the more sophisticated materials were shipped in from Liverpool and other parts of the UK. Next up, we went to the Badagry Heritage Museum. This video is a summarization of the 4 full-length videos I put out on this series. You can watch the full-length video of the first Storey Building in Nigeria now, and I'm fairly confident that you would enjoy it. Our next location for the day is the Badagry Heritage Museum. It is the primary museum here telling the story of what happened during the transatlantic slave trade. Our tour guide for the day did a decent job at telling us about some of the things here, but I couldn't help but feel like he was rushing and we went through the motions too quickly. I have tried to suppress the memories of this particular spot because this museum showed pictures. Every other place we've gone, we've been learning about what they did, but it was all theoretical. Yeah, we actually saw pictures, we saw the whips, we saw the instruments that were used, and oh my god, it was horrible as horrible can be. These men and women braved incredible conditions, crossed open oceans, battled the elements, diseases and everything else, just to come and sell people that look like you and I. Incredible stuff. The museum is a must visit in my opinion. For every black person in the world, I saw people that look like me being advertised and sold like they were apples on the streets. I don't know how to explain it. But one thing that really touched me the most from this visit was how families being scattered was the norm. A family with a father, mother and kids could easily become a family of none. The father killed during war, the mother enslaved, the kids kept in a enslavement camp until they're old enough. When the mother gets sold to Brazil, the first kid gets sold to what is now the USA, the next to Haiti. Family dispersed everywhere. But it was an unfortunate experience, to be honest, for the people that also go through it, and reliving the experience was no joking matter. My friends and I had a lot to think about and had a lot to come to terms with as we went to the next and final location for the day, the infamous point of no return, where slaves were shipped off to the New World mostly and Europe. Slavery was the #1 industry in Badagry for hundreds of years, and by the peak of slavery, they have gotten it down to a science. Enslaved people were kept in barracoons and slave cells for as long as they needed to be kept, some for days, some weeks, and others up to years. When it came time to be sold off or shipped abroad, they were taken to the point we are right now. The boats took them to Gberefu Island across the Lagos Lagoon, and from there they had to walk more than 1.4 kilometers through what was a jungle at that time to get to the point of no return. So we simulated the experience a bit. We got onto a boat. The boat didn't start on time. I was a bit squeamish And after a while, the boat finally started. Our tour guide, an 11-year-old boy, a descendant of Seriki Abass, but I do not hold that against him because obviously he did nothing wrong. We did not know how far the point of no return was from the dock at Gberefu Island, and we kept walking and walking and walking with all our items. We had some things we took with us to have a picnic on the beach. It took us almost 40 minutes to get there, and I just imagine that people went through this experience after being locked up in slave cells, after being malnourished, after being worked to death, beaten up, subjugated, every awful thing you can imagine. They had to make this journey, so why can't I? An unfortunate experience, but one thing that struck out to me when we got to the point of no return was how the Nigerian government had failed us by failing to complete the monument. You can watch the full-length video on that now, and I really ranted, and it's our reality here, but there are some things that should be sacred. If we can't get this right, this is an insult to everybody that was enslaved and their ancestors, wherever they might. We had our picnic, we got to learn more about each other because not everybody knew each other prior to this trip. On our way back, I had a lot on my mind. I had learned a lot throughout the day, and it gave me a bit of perspective, and over the next few weeks I kept thinking about what I had learned.